Hi, welcome back. In this lecture, we will study the 6 stages of studying so that we can lay proper foundation for you to use learning strategies in your daily study tasks. Well, you've probably spent most of your life studying for your primary, secondary, and now your tertiary studies. But what does studying mean to you? Second, what do you do when you study? And lastly, can you clearly explain to me how to study a subject? Surely, studying involves a lot of different learning tasks. First, you could be reading your textbook or your lecture notes. Second, you could be typewriting your essay. Or you could be listening to the lecture recordings or revising for your finals. However, did you know that we could break studying into 6 different stages? You're probably asking yourself, but how? The answer is by grouping all study tasks that achieve the same purpose or function into the same block. By doing so, I've come up with a simplified model of how we study, which is made up of understanding, learning, knowing, applying, practicing, and reviewing, which I call the 6 stages of studying. Let's start by understanding. Think about a sandwich being cut into 4 different slices and then being assigned to 4 different persons. The same thing happens when you read your lecture notes. The process is you're breaking down the different sections of the lecture notes or the textbook so that you can further assign meaning to them. Coming to the second stage of studying, which is learning. Learning is broken down into 2 parts. First, we have memorizing, for example, reading multiple times the lecture notes or the textbook, and then we have mastering, for example, trying to do the work examples on your own. The both parts aim at building ownership, which is the ability to trust in the knowledge that you are learning. After learning comes knowing. Knowing is your ability to recall all the notes that you have learned. So it's fair to say that you will take a lot of time to really memorize and master all the theories that have been discussed in the lecture notes or even the textbook. Take the time and do it well so that you don't suffer in the further stages of studying. After knowing comes applying. Applying is a process where we become more adventurous with the knowledge and try to use it to solve new sets of problems that have never appeared in the lecture notes or the textbook. In this case, success is found only through trial and error, where we have to constantly refer to the textbook and the lecture notes to know where the pitfalls are in those new sets of problems, and which is in itself a second learning curve. Which is how we become more confident about how to do new questions, and hence we are ready now to build our pattern. The 5th stage of studying is practicing. As individuals, we all learn by identifying and constructing patterns. Remember when we were young, we learned the multiplication table and even pronunciation because we were able to learn the pattern that gave us all the answers. Now let's consider a pattern as being the map of a labyrinth. The map evidently shows us the path towards the exit. True, a pattern will also do the same thing and show us the path towards getting the final answers for a question. So, the more questions you do, the more you will know about labyrinth, and evidently the more precise you will be able to draw the map. Therefore, for future questions, that is, for future labyrinths, you will be able to complete them faster. And lastly, we have reviewing. In this stage of studying, we often revisit the entire course content so that first we reinforce our current knowledge and second, we strengthen our constructed patterns, We do so until we reach a satisfactory level of perfection in our work. And one way of doing the reviewing process is to ask your tutor or lecturer a question and review the materials regularly. As a summary, we have first understanding, which is to break and assign meanings to the notes. Second, we have learning, to memorize and master the theory. Third, we have knowing, that is to recall all the notes that you have learned. Fourth, we have applying, so that in this case we learn through trial and error. Fifth, we have practicing, where we learn how to identify and construct patterns to solve the problems easier and faster. And lastly, we have reviewing, where we strengthen our current knowledge and constructing patterns. That was all for today. I will leave you with a jiffy that will inspire you to work harder and faster. Bye.